Hi, everybody. This is Rabbi Dovid Zirkind from the Riverdale Jewish Center with our third installment of 8 at 8, celebrating Hanukkah by getting to know each other a little bit better and introducing ourselves to some of the members who maybe we don't already know in our shul. So this evening, it's a special pleasure for me to welcome Rebecca Sykes to 8 at 8. Rebecca, welcome. How are you?
Happy Hanukkah. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to start you off with 3 of your 8 questions all in a row. Can you tell everyone who's watching where you're originally from, how long you've lived in Riverdale, and in what ways Riverdale is different than the community you grew up?
Yeah, I am from Lincolnwood, Illinois, in other words, Chicago. I've been in Riverdale for almost 4 years, and Riverdale is different than where I'm from. It's a little bit of a bigger shul than where I went and where I was from, Chicago. I don't know all the members here as well as I do in my hometown. But that being said, both are great.
Okay, amazing. I can relate as being an out-of-towner on their way in, and obviously we have a connection. Your husband and I are both Baltimoreans, so we know moving from Baltimore to Riverdale pretty well. Okay, next question. COVID has been challenging for many different professions, but the task for teachers, I think everyone would agree, has been pretty extraordinary. So tell us a little bit about your work during COVID, and what do you think parents need to know about their teachers' experiences in school this year?
Well, last year was extraordinarily different, going straight to Zoom, March 3rd, I believe, until the end of the school year. So that was just every night reevaluating what worked, what didn't work, meeting with my team, figuring out how we can send our work out to kids, what can they actually accomplish on Zoom, how to teach first graders on Zoom. So that was a challenge last year. This year, thank God we're in person, so some of that challenge is not there anymore, but we still have mask wearing. There are still kids that are on Zoom one day, not on Zoom. Anything can really happen, so we just have to be prepared all the time. So we're still constantly reevaluating, rethinking, trying to just figure out the best way to teach these kids.
And I guess you spent the entire day being ready on Zoom, and then you get a call from me to do this at 10 o'clock at night. So it means you're pretty comfortable on Zoom.
Yeah, too comfortable with Zoom.
Aren't we all a little too comfortable? So let's talk about the kids. So you're a first grade teacher at SAR Academy, and you know probably better than most that kids are a very resilient bunch. So which parts of COVID do you think that our kids are going to remember? And do you think it's going to shape them in any specific way as adults?
I don't think anyone could have guessed what this was going to be. And, we still kind of like thinking about March, like, oh, in 3 months from now, it'll be like this. So we're in 6 months from now and 9 months from now. And yet we still don't know. So, I think last year is definitely something that'll be ingrained in them, just like who their teacher was, what they did on Zoom, things like that. And, this year, I think most of it is feels pretty normal. We're in class, we're in school, we're with our friends. So I think this year will be a little bit less monumental in that way, of thinking of it like COVID as opposed to a school year, I hope.
When I think about my memories of elementary school, and I wonder, how much I remember that's accurate and how much I don't. I can't even imagine being a kid now, an elementary school, first grader, second grader, third grader, remembering wearing a mask and all the bead chains and all of that all the shtick that came along with it. It's hard to consider what they're really going to remember or how it'll shape them. I wonder also, their approach to health and medicine and science, and how much this year-long conversation will become part of their identity, as a cohort or as a generation.
Totally.
Okay, so now with shul closed, let's move away from the school for a second. So socializing is obviously not as natural as it was, last year before that. So what has COVID taught you about friendship, about the friends that you have, or being a better friend yourself?
I think it's just important to reach out to people. Just everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's really busy. Everyone has a lot going on. So, as best as you can reach out is important, but, you know, also understand that people are really busy and that even if they're not reaching out, it's not because they don't, you know, feel like they're not your friend. It's just that everyone has things going on right now. But, you know, hopefully when things get better, we'll be able to, you know, have more in person, you know, meals and play dates, gatherings, birthday parties, anything.
Right. And I certainly agree. I think people have had a lot of tunnel vision through all of this. Just there's a lot to focus on and a lot of issues to deal with. It's hard to think outside your own apartment, outside your own space. That's really been tough. I think it's really been tough. Okay, Hanukkah. So we're in it. Hanukkah presents are a big piece of the holiday experience. Would you define yourself as someone who's better at giving or receiving? And feel free to elaborate.
I am pretty good at receiving gifts. You know, jewelry, always happy.
I hope
I,
Jeremy's watching.
I hope so. But I am better at giving gifts, buying him gifts than he is to buying me gifts.
Okay, I appreciate your honesty. Any tips for the givers out there who still need to buy a gift before Hanukkah's over?
Nothing's wrong with pajamas, a sweater, a hat, a scarf, gloves.
Those are a very traditional list right there.
So, you know, nothing's wrong with them. Slippers.
Okay, slippers it is. Final question for tonight. The story of Hanukkah celebrates some amazing Jewish men and women, the heroes of Jewish history. So who do you think are the heroes of today that maybe we're overlooking, but we shouldn't?
I think everyone just needs to, you know, look in the mirror and just kind of remind themselves, you know, including me, I have to also remind myself that everyone's working hard. Everyone's doing something different than, you know, they've done in the past, you know, adults, kids, everybody's just balancing a lot of different things and in a new way and, you know, give everyone a break and just, you know, be proud of yourself.
Amazing. All right. Thank you, Rebecca, so much for joining me tonight. I want to wish everybody a Hanukkah Sameach and thank you for tuning in. Please make sure to join us on Zoom for menorah lighting and shul, programming throughout the week, and this wonderful weekend with Chaz and Jim Kramer visiting from Israel. I want to wish everybody a Hanukkah Sameach and a good night, and we hope to see you tomorrow.
Good night.